to really be said about all of this. And
a lot of big news over the weekend.
What's that?
It's just a lot of big news, I think.
It is big news, and I think that the reason there's been a lot of rumor, a lot of speculation behind this camera is that people don't know what this means. I mean, this is like, two big companies merging. I can understand why
global companies, too.
Global companies,
right.
You're absolutely right. I can understand why people might be hesitant to, might be worried about what will happen to their favorite franchises. They might, they might not know what will happen to maybe some of the smaller, if you're coming into this, do you look at it and go, God, well now, will Call of Duty get less attention than StarCraft 2 because it's Activision Blizzard now? It's like, no, I think Call of Duty will continue to get the same, I guess, the same attention that it needs or it would get, just like World of Warcraft is going to get the same attention. This is not going to change for anyone. If anything, it will make it better. And, you might see a World of Warcraft character in an Activision game or weird crossovers like that. So who knows what this merger actually has for us in store, but I do think that this is the type of thing that people need to know about, that people need to keep their eyes, peeled on, because this could be an ongoing trend for companies to come. If I'm a company that specializes in FPSs, why wouldn't I try to buy into a company that specialized in action games or specialized in RPGs or MMOs? Both of these companies are looking to round out their offerings. With Vivendi Blizzard now, you've got essentially a company that's producing RTSs, MMOs, RPGs, sports titles, for FPSs, adventure games. You've really got them covering the whole scope of gaming, and that's what sort of like makes it such a massive undertaking. And this could be one of the biggest news items for 2007. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to see how it all unfolds until 2008. So I want to take about 15 minutes right now, camera, and open up the phones to not only discuss this and what people think about this, but also the whole GameSpot, the whole firing of said reviewer over the Kane and Lynch review. We've now heard him come out and say, well, I still stand by my review. I'm not going to talk much about, what happened, why I got fired, and rightfully so. For his own protection and for the protection of GameSpot, I wouldn't be talking about that kind of shit either. So, and I'm sure he signed something that said, no, don't talk about it. So if you've got a comment in regards to not only the Vivendi, Activision, Blizzard merging, but also the GameSpot, feel free to give a call. And we got our first caller. Caller, welcome to the program.
How's it going?
Yo, it's going well. What's up?
Well, I just want to comment really quickly on the whole merger thing. I think it's potentially great simply because, obviously you've got two really great companies that are coming together to offer a wider portfolio of stuff. And one thing I noticed that was mentioned in the GameSpot article about it that some people haven't mentioned, is obviously Guitar Hero is a vastly popular game that Activision has. And they've been talking about doing updates and offering new songs. And having access to Vivendi's music library is huge for that.
You're right.
I mean they have so much music.
You could see Guitar Hero, WoW edition. You could see anything really from all of their games, whether it be from the Blizzard library or be from any of their other titles as well. You're absolutely right. They have a massive music archive now and something that they can tap into.
Right. And that can only mean great things for all the Guitar Hero 3 fans out there, Guitar Hero 4, and that stuff.
Real quick, caller, what do you think this means for the whole EA versus Activision third-party battle?
Well, it certainly makes things interesting because while Blizzard is a huge company and has a lot of money and makes great games, they really don't have any presence in the console world at all.
You're right.
So it sort of gives them a way to break into that and partner up with Activision, whereas Activision doesn't really have much presence in PC either.
No,
so it's only strengthened those two companies in that regard. Now they can sort of jump back and forth across both platforms, and that's great for all gamers. Because now you're looking at potentially better console games and potentially better PC games. It's the thing with EA. You know, I mean, a lot of people were excited about Warhammer Online. I know I was.
Right.
But when I saw EA kind of step into it and say, you know, let's take this great MMO concept, throw a lot of money behind it, make it better, then I was even more excited.
Right. And I think you actually make a great point about the console offerings and PC offerings because, you know, just like how I had mentioned that each company is bringing its own set of genre offerings. For example, Blizzard brings RTS, MMOs, RPGs, etc. That's one thing I hadn't considered is that Blizzard brings a dominantly PC force, whereas Vivendi, Activision, brings dominantly a console force. So we could see some interesting and very happy cohesion between the two companies, and maybe we will finally see that console version of World of Warcraft that everyone has been, going apeshit over for the last 3 years. But Blizzard has continued to say, well, it's not going to happen. Well, now that they've got a more concrete, relationship in place, what's to stop Blizzard from saying, yeah, sure, Activision, take our entire project, port it to console. If it means we don't have to take resources away from what we're doing with WoW or what we're doing with StarCraft 2, fantastic. And people will get what they want. So you bring up some great points, caller. I appreciate your input.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. So I love that point. Very, very smart caller there. Something that I hadn't thought about, and that is pretty key, is that Blizzard is PC-centric, and Vivendi and Activision, etc., are more console-centric. So we got another caller on the horn. Caller, welcome to EG.
Hey, dudes.
What's up?
Well, I was gonna say about the my worry about the monopoly of like making a Microsoft of games, but I just want to say like I can't believe that World of Warcraft will ever come on the consoles because of the fact that are you gonna play an MMO with 4, 8, 16 skills altogether?
You know what? People have been saying that, but don't forget that I can plug a keyboard into my PS3 or into my 360. So, just because you hear that the game is on console, don't instantly make that mean that, well, you have to play it with a console controller. Look at, for example, Final Fantasy XI for the PS2. People said, how in the hell is that going to survive? Well, they released some keyboards and mouse and made it playable with the controller. So while they may have to cut corners, and obviously you're going to be the ultimate noob if you try to play World of Warcraft with an Xbox 360 controller, they can offer the availability of keyboards, mice, etc., to make it a more PC-like experience. So, and again, it's speculation. Just because they are merging doesn't mean we're going to actually see it, but I think that we're probably closer to that speculation than we've ever been.
Yeah, because Mythic tried that like a year or so ago with Warhammer Online. They were fiddling with the 360 and that didn't work out very well. To say it like that. It
can't be easy. It really can't be easy. But again, when you've got two development houses and two publishing houses that can work so closely with one another, who knows what could happen.
So you see this as only a good thing that they're merging the biggest companies to... Aren't you worried that the diversity and the integrity of games, or whatever it's called, will be compromised?
Because I don't. And here's why. Let me give you a great example why. Because I look at I look at a list of the last 5 games that I've played. Look at some of these: Mass Effect, Assassin's Creed, Mass Effect's BioWare, which is now EA, Assassin's Creed, they're Ubisoft, Naruto Rise of the Ninja is Ubisoft, Guitar Hero 3 is Activision, Call of Duty 4 is Activision. What else have I played? Uncharted, that was Sony and Naughty Dog. So, while of those 6 titles, 3 of them come from the 2 companies that we're talking about, I don't think that it's going to prevent other companies from making good titles. For example, Uncharted, that's a great title made by Sony, made by Naughty Dog, and the big dogs, if you will, didn't stop them from creating that, even though it was first party. I think more than anything, it will mean more titles, faster, hopefully of the same quality that we've been getting from both of these companies. But no, I don't see it as a bad thing at all. Where I start to see it as a bad thing is if in 8 months, all they're doing is churning out nothing but shit. If that happens, then I will go back and say, yes, this is fucking terrible that this happened. But right now, you've just got to see it as this industry is growing. And with this growth comes these types of things. Just like in the United States, when the telephone industry grew, all of these telephone companies had to merge together into one. You know, people saw, oh my God, it's a monopoly. But in order for like us to evolve in telecommunications, it had to happen. Now, I'm guessing you're probably not overly familiar with that considering your accent, but you know, I see a similar sort of thing as far as that's concerned. That it could mean bad news in the future, but for now, to me, it says growth. It says that we're seeing 2 major players combine, and you know, this is really no different than say like who publishes the Capcom game?